All right. Hi, everyone. Meteorologist Marisa Woloszyn here. It is Sunday night, December 28th, and we are about halfway through our big storm system moving across the area. You may have heard of this called a bomb cyclone. It technically is that. That's actually a technical term. It's called bombogenesis. And what that means is that a mid-latitude cyclone lowers its pressure at least 24 millibars within 24 hours. So yes, it's a real term, but what it really means is rapidly strengthening of a storm system, which we're going to see as we move into tonight, and that's going to lead to some very strong winds across the area. Right now we're in phase one here of the storm system. So phase one has mainly been very rainy conditions. We've had rain across the area throughout the entire day, heavy at times, multiple areas of some flooding or ponding on the roadways as well. Most of us have picked up about an inch of rain, and then some of us are even now getting up to an inch and a half, and we're still not done. There's still more rain expected as we get through the rest of tonight. This is again phase one. We do have more coming our way. Once the rain ends, we get to gusty winds and then eventually snow as we move into tomorrow. So let's break it down. Have your questions coming in if you have any questions about this storm system or what we can expect also as we move through the rest of the week. I am here to help. I'm here to answer your questions. All right, let's get back to radar. Big picture, big storm system here. I'll pop myself in the corner. Of course, you can see right now we're in the green, which means rain. We are looking at still warm front impacts going on right now, though there is a cold front associated with this storm. It's located right here. You can see the lightning along it. This is a cold front, and it does have the potential to bring some severe weather through Indiana. We have a small chance, we're a marginal risk, so 1 out of 5, that we could have severe weather, mainly through Lenawee and Monroe counties. The biggest concern would be damaging wind gusts, up to 60 miles per hour. So that is our threat, but we also are expecting gusty winds no matter what after that threat goes away, and we are looking at, again, windy conditions as we move into tonight and tomorrow. But I want to take a look at this. I mean, wow. We're 57. It is 7 o'clock on Sunday night. 57 in Detroit. At 6 o'clock, we were 45. So we have jumped 12 degrees in an hour. Also at 55 in Ann Arbor, same thing. About an hour ago, we were about 45 degrees, maybe 44. So we have also jumped about 10 degrees within an hour. Monroe now up to 61. Adrian up to 60 degrees. It is warm out there for the southern half of the region. Farther to the north, we're in the low 40s and upper 30s, so above the freezing mark, still looking at rain rolling on through. So looking at the warm conditions, you can see kind of where the warm front is. It's going to start to stall, which means I don't expect it to continue to move north, but it's going to kind of stop about here as it moves more west to east. Behind the warm front, we'll have the cold front. That's going to bring more chances for rain as we move through this evening. Right now, along the warm front, we have the rain, steadier rain up in through Genesee County, Lapeer County, also St. Clair County at this moment, northern Macomb County. We're seeing a little bit of a lull, at least through the rest of the southern counties. However, just off to the west, you can see more of that rain back towards Coldwater to the west of Jackson. That is along the cold front. So we'll watch that final push come through as we get into tonight. And I do think this model right here is actually doing a pretty good job of the progression of the showers. So we get the final push coming through as we get into tonight. This is a look at about 10 o'clock tonight. What you're seeing here, the rain that's moving through around 10 is going to be part of the cold front. So we'll still see rain showers. Also our best chance for some embedded thunderstorms. And again, heavy downpours would be the biggest concern, and still more minor flooding or just maybe a little bit more than that across the area, just because we've had a lot of rain so far today, and we're still looking at more additional rain as we get into tonight. The good news is once we get through this cold front, we are looking at drying out once we get past about midnight tonight. All that moisture is now off to the east, and we will be looking at dry conditions. The problem, though, after the cold front, the cold air starts to filter in. Our winds are going to be ramping up, and our temperatures are going to drop. By the time we get to sunrise tomorrow, we will be below the freezing mark. So like we've been mentioning a lot of times with other storms, there is the potential for refreeze. However, because we are going to have many hours of dry weather, which you're going to see here after midnight tonight through about 6 in the morning, maybe even a little bit longer than that, we are looking at dry conditions. We're also looking at windy conditions. This is where the wind could be in our favor because the hours of dry weather and the wind will help dry the ground out somewhat. So that could reduce our threat for slippery conditions by tomorrow morning. With that said, Always important to be cautious if you're heading out and about tomorrow morning. Maybe you're traveling to work anytime. If it's as early as 5 a.m., if it's as late as 8 o'clock tomorrow morning or 9 o'clock, still be prepared for a few areas of ice. After we get past about 8 o'clock in the morning, our snow chances return. We are looking at a good burst of some snow as the snow moves in from the northwest. There is still the potential for what are called snow squalls, or narrow bands of intense snow, and that could lead to whiteout conditions. Our best chance for that is going to be tomorrow morning through the very early part of the afternoon as the snow rolls on through. So be prepared for that. If you do have to go somewhere tomorrow, if you can push it off to later in the day, conditions will be better, but we are looking at, unfortunately, poor driving conditions across the area in the morning. It's not just the good old run-of-the-mill snow, but it can really lead to whiteout conditions. I've witnessed it happen in spots, and it literally goes like that. Visibility goes from, okay, I can kind of see, nope, I can't see anything at all. So that's what we're looking at with a potential for some snow squalls rolling on through. The good news is, as we go throughout Monday, the snow does start to ease up a bit towards the late afternoon and evening. We'll still keep some snow showers in the area, but then we really start to see kind of everything slow down as the storm starts to move off to the northeast. So the snow will slow down, maybe even end by the evening. Winds are also going to start to let up as we head towards the evening, and that's when you finally can breathe a sigh of relief. But of course, we have a lot to get through between now and pretty much this time tomorrow. There's also the potential, again, for power outages. I think that's probably going to be our two biggest things. I think coming up will be power outage possibilities, and then also poor driving conditions because of the potential for whiteout or just reduced visibility in general. We do have a high wind warning that goes into effect tonight at midnight all the way through 9 p.m. tomorrow. You can see the expected winds here out of the west, 25 to 35 miles per hour with gusts possible 50 to 60 miles per hour. So those are winds. Those are also winds categorized in a severe thunderstorm. So if that kind of helps you visualize what that could be, that could lead to down trees easily, maybe even down power lines as well. And that's why we're concerned about power outages, especially because after this all gets through, we do get to colder temperatures. So it's important to have electricity to keep us warm, keep things safe, and keep your family comfortable inside their house. So that's what we're looking at with this high wind warning. I do expect the strongest winds to be around about daybreak tomorrow, early morning hours, also kind of coupled with that snow in the morning. And then when winds should start to let up slowly throughout the afternoon and then into the evening tomorrow. If you're wondering about snow, for us specifically here in Southeast Michigan, this won't be much of a snow event in terms of high accumulation. We're mainly looking at about 1 inch of snow, and some places could get up to 2 inches of snow. So that is enough to create some slippery conditions outside, but we're also looking at the threat for blowing snow. Again, wind gusts with the snow, that leads to reduced visibility and could also enhance whiteout conditions across the area. So the biggest concern would be blowing snow and also some slippery spots. I don't expect many of us to have to shovel in quite a few spots, so not worried about that. But you can see there are some places that'll get a little bit more snow that you might need to shovel just a bit. If you are traveling though west, if you're traveling north as we head into New Year's Eve is Wednesday, and you're hoping to leave tomorrow, I would advise maybe to hold off until Tuesday, because in those locations we're looking at anywhere from 4 inches of snow to some places picking up more than half a foot of snow. Again, west and the northern part of the state. So it will be worse to drive in those locations. They're also going to be dealing with the winds in addition to the heavier amounts of snow there. So I would advise against that if you can. Wait until Tuesday. Tuesday conditions will be much better for travel across the area. All right, I'm going to put a pin in it right now, the moment, and then I'm going to see what kind of questions we've got. And then I will run through and go through what we've got going on again. Okay. Megan asking how much snow. I'm assuming that question came first. As you can see, not much snow, which is great. Looking about 1 inch, but it's still just enough to create slippery driving conditions. And the concern is blowing snow, visibility being reduced as you're traveling out and about tomorrow. So if you don't have to do it tomorrow, please don't. If you do have to, absolutely go somewhere tomorrow. Go later in the day tomorrow. It will be better towards the late afternoon. That's when conditions will be better. Let's see, Tuscola County, how's it looking for the thumb? As you can see, windy, and we're also looking at snowfall, about 1 inch, maybe up to 2 inches for you as we get into tomorrow. I don't expect the winds to really be any different up there either. We're all looking at wind gusts 50 to 60 miles an hour. All right. Let's see. Most people are concerned about power outages. Yes, I would agree with that as well. Okay. All right, so I've got some specific questions, but it's always hard to give, specifics in your town because we're pretty much all going to see the same thing. So I don't want you to think if I'm talking about one town that you're not going to see it in another town. First, we're just going to jump into the 7-day forecast because that's what I clicked on. But I want to give a highlight ahead if you're wondering what to expect. Tonight, tomorrow are going to be the busiest of the next 7 days. Tuesday and Wednesday will have more light snow, but accumulation will be light. But still could have some slippery conditions, especially keep an eye on Wednesday. Of course, that's New Year's Eve. There'll be a lot of people out and about. It won't be a ton of snow that you're probably going to have to shovel a lot. It just would be that amount of snow that makes roads slippery. But it's cold. Remember when we had the cold temperatures and then we're like, oh man, it's warming up for Christmas. Well, we're getting back to the cold, the bitter cold, highs in the low 20s, lows in the teens. We're running about 10 degrees below average this week, pretty much every single day. So cold temperatures are returning. That's why I don't really want to talk about power outages tonight and into tomorrow, just because we have the cold air coming. Kind of playing things out. The timeline first, I want to give you what we're expecting pretty much between now and by the time we get into midnight tonight. Our biggest thing that we're looking at is more rain and thunderstorms possible, especially south. South as in Lenawee and Monroe counties, south of I-94. There is a chance that one or two of those storms may produce some damaging wind gusts, so we'll keep an eye out for a potential severe thunderstorm. Later tonight, it will be between about 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. After we get past midnight, we're quiet. We actually will dry out and we'll have many hours of dry weather overnight tonight through about 6, maybe even up to 8 o'clock in the morning. During this time, though, is when the storm rapidly develops. That's where we get that bomb cyclone or bombogenesis. It rapidly develops and winds rapidly increase. The pressure gradient, yes, I'm throwing out some weather terms here, increases the change in pressure over a space of time, and that leads to strong winds, which is what we're going to see as we get into tonight. After about 8 o'clock in the morning, that's when the snow starts to move back in. That's when we have the chance for snow squalls or narrow, intense bands of snow that could lead to whiteout conditions. And then once we get towards the afternoon, the snow starts to let up a bit. It's still going to be windy, but the winds will also start to let up a bit. So we've got the most intensity expected in about the next 12 to 18 hours, all the way through the early afternoon tomorrow, if that helps you out. Also, I want to take a look again. We just saw a look at temperatures. We are looking at warm pockets right now. We're going to stay warm over the next bit. We are looking at temperatures to be into the 50s, if not 60, through about midnight tonight. Yeah, isn't that crazy to kind of see? Who would have thought? Well, this is what a warm front does. It really keeps us warm as we're in the warm sector, and then once the warm front moves away and the cold front comes through, which is coming through between about 10 and midnight tonight is when the cold front comes through. So behind it, there comes the cold air. We drop 25 degrees in about 8 hours, and unfortunately, we do drop below freezing. The two things that could help us, though, with the reduction of refreeze or ice on the roadways is the fact that we do have many hours of dry weather when our temperatures are dropping so fast and we have windy conditions. This is the one time that the wind could be helpful in the fact that it could help dry things out and not lead to some ice. Unfortunately, the wind can also be very unhelpful in creating some power outages, and that's what the concern is as we move into tonight. So again, that's a look at our temperature trend overnight tonight. As we take a look at current temperatures right now, it is mild. City of Detroit now up to 58 degrees. We just checked this 12 minutes ago and we were at 57. Now we're at 58. Ann Arbor up to 56. Still at 61 in Monroe, 60 in Adrian, 45 in Howell, but the warmer air is trying to edge in your direction. And then we've got 41 in Pontiac and Mount Clemens, a little bit colder up towards Lapeer and Port Sanilac. This is part of a big storm system. Sorry for the super slow-mo zoom out, but I want you to take a look at this storm. It is a big one. It has a lot going on with it. Right now it's bringing freezing rain to New York. You can see a lot of that pink color there. Thankfully, we only had a little bit of freezing rain this morning in the very early morning hours before many of us warmed up and transitioned transition to some rain across the area. We are in the warm sector of the storm right now, hence the warm temperatures. This is the warm front overall, so it extends all the way to New York City. It's got that arc shape. And then this right here is the cold front. So you can see a narrow band of thunderstorms even. There's even more lightning down here. We just don't have that being tracked in this area. But there is a potential for severe weather here. We may see severe weather right along the state line, but for us, our severe weather concern would be damaging wind gusts near 60 miles an hour. So we'll keep an eye on that. The best chance for that will be between about 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. This storm system is bringing most of us right now still rounds of rain. We're seeing the rain let up a bit through most of Wayne, Washtenaw, Lenawee, and Monroe counties at this moment, so that's some good news. But just off to the west of Lenawee County, west of Jackson, Adrian, this is the cold front. So again, this will be pushing through all the way through about midnight tonight, and that's going to be our final push of rain and also bring us a chance for some thunderstorms. We'll keep an eye if we do get some strong winds there. As of right now, it doesn't look like we're seeing much. As we get through this final push, you'll see the cold front come through. Here we go on Futurecast. There it comes through about midnight tonight. Then it is off to the west, or east, excuse me. Off to the west, we fall into the dry slot of the storm. The dry slot, dry weather. We have dry conditions expected from midnight through at least about 6 o'clock in the morning, potentially even longer depending on where you live. The farther east that you live, the longer you'll be dry. So this is what I was just talking about. We have hours of dry weather. We also have windy conditions that should hopefully dry things out and prevent ice from developing as we get into tomorrow morning. We're not expecting sleet. We're not expecting freezing rain. The ice concern tomorrow morning would be because of refreeze going on. We've had a lot of rain today, and we could see some refreezing with that. So something to watch. I do think, though, we'll see a lot more drying out than more ice developing, but still be cautious if you're traveling out and about tomorrow morning. Then we continue throughout the morning, and then the snow arrives. This is the time that we'll have wind gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. So we're looking at blowing snow, also potential to have bursts of snow that are heavy in those snow squalls that could lead to whiteout conditions. Travel tomorrow morning will be dangerous at times with the blowing snow and also potential bursts of the snow leading to the whiteout conditions. If you can avoid travel tomorrow morning, that'll be better. By the afternoon, we will have better conditions across the area. We do still keep the snow through the lunch hour, but if you notice snow coverage, this is the afternoon, far less than what we are going to see in the morning. So it will be better throughout the day to get through, again, if you have to go anywhere. And then even better conditions towards the evening. We will also be looking at lighter winds by this point too. So things will improve as the day progresses tomorrow as the storm moves away from us. But we still have to get through two of the tougher parts of the storm, one being the wind. We have a high wind warning in place for midnight tonight through 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Winds be out of the west 25 to 35 miles per hour, gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. So that's what we're looking at. And again, with the snow tomorrow, this storm system, it's not the amount of snow that's the concern, it's the blowing snow, reducing visibility, creating slippery driving conditions. That'll be the concern with this snow. We're only looking at about a widespread inch of snow. Some of us won't even see that, especially if you live south of the city of Detroit, down through Monroe. That's where totals will be much lighter. To the north, that's where we could get an inch, maybe a little bit more of some snow as we move throughout Monday, as we're looking at that. All right, let's see if we've got any questions, if anyone has. Let's see. Got an answer of how long the high winds will last. High winds will last. I know the warning is from midnight tonight through 9 p.m. tomorrow. The strongest winds are going to be tomorrow morning around daybreak through about noon. If you're worried about the worst of it, we will still have, though, some good gusts through the afternoon, but they will start to weaken throughout the day on Monday, especially towards the late afternoon and evening tomorrow. So, yes, I know we've got quite a few hours, winds, you know. High winds are no fun because, again, they create power outages, which we do not need, especially this time of year with very cold conditions expected, also through the next couple of days. And it's just long lasting when you have winds, high winds like this that last a long time. It's not a quick event. It takes some couple hours. So if you make it through the first couple of hours, it might not be into the fifth hour that you get the really strong wind gust that does something. So keep that in mind. Good question. Let's see. Any other questions? I'm just looking over here, see what we've got going on. You're welcome, Cheryl. Let's see. Jenny, I'm assuming this is, asking, high winds will start about what time? Actually, the winds will not pick up until after the cold front. So we're talking after midnight tonight. So still fairly quiet out there right now. Once the winds initially pick up, they won't be as strong yet. Initial gusts will be closer to 40 miles per hour overnight tonight. And then once you get closer to daybreak, that's when we're going to start to look at wind gusts 50 to 60. And by daybreak, that's closer to 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So hopefully that helps answer your question. What other questions do you guys have for me about the system? Again, we were kind of getting through phase one, which is the rain, the heavy rain. We've had flooding reports across the area. This is a look at some totals. These numbers will go up as we have more rain coming through, but a lot of us have picked up already definitely half an inch, and quite a few of us already getting close to an inch of rain. Our heaviest band of rain so far has looked to be anywhere from Washtenaw counties like Ann Arbor to Howell, and then stretching on an angle up towards Port Huron. So you can see more of the yellows and orange colors. Those are the locations that have picked up 1 to 2 inches of rain so far. So we still have a couple more hours of rain. I do expect rain through midnight tonight, and then we do dry out, which is some great news. And again, unfortunately though, as we do dry out, we are looking at the winds picking up. That's the only downside of this. So it's kind of, the storm is going to go through phases. We're in phase one with the rain. Phase two is going to be tonight where we're dry, but the winds start to increase. Then phase three starts the morning tomorrow after about 8 o'clock. It's still going to be windy, and then we add in the snow and then deal with potential whiteout conditions, as well as, of course, the potential for power outages. So 3 phases with this storm. We're almost done with phase one, and then we just move on to the next. And then we get through the next one, and then eventually we get back to better conditions starting tomorrow night. So we still have some time before we get to there. Let's see. Jan asking about severe weather potential south of I-94. We are in the marginal risk for severe weather, so I'll show you this map. This is issued by the National Storm Prediction Center. You can see there's a bigger threat for severe storms more through Indiana and Illinois as the front's coming through right now. We are on the very northern edge of the marginal risk, meaning severe weather is possible. Our biggest concern would be the potential for damaging wind gusts. That would be our concern, up to 60 miles per hour. So yes, a severe thunderstorm damaging wind gusts would be a gust near 60 miles per hour. This threat will be for the final push with the cold front between about 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. But the thing is, even though that is our threat tonight, we all have a chance to see damaging wind gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour as we get into tomorrow that are not associated with severe thunderstorms. It's just with the storm system itself. So yes, we have this threat, but overall, we are all going to see a threat of some damaging winds as we move into tomorrow with that high wind warning. So I'm not trying to down talk this, but I just want to, again, know that this risk is because of the potential for severe winds right along a thunderstorm that moves through between 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. But then we really all have a similar risk throughout the day tomorrow with the high wind warning. So hopefully that provides some clarity. See. Just reading some of the things. Okay, any questions? I think I'm going to go through this one more time and kind of help plan out what we've got going on. First, want to get an update on the weather, see if Detroit added another degree. Well, okay, Detroit did not, but Ann Arbor did. Now up to 58 there. Take a look at that. A 12 degree temperature difference between Ann Arbor and Howell, which they're only about 30 miles at most between each other. So yes, we're looking at warm conditions. Monroe up to 63 degrees. And if you're just joining, so at 7 o'clock, Detroit was at 55. At 6 o'clock when I went on air, Detroit was at 44 degrees. So we jumped 10 degrees in an hour. Warm conditions, the southern half of the area, we're in the warm sector. The warm front right now, you pretty much can draw a line. Okay, Jackson's not included, but this is the warm front. It is stalled about halfway through our area. We'll see if we can get more of that warmth up through Howell. Brighton probably seeing warm conditions right now. Commerce, Milford, working your way through Bloomfield. Maybe Warren seeing a little bit of the warmth, Southfield as well. But this warm front is not going to go much farther to the north, and then eventually we have the cold front coming through. So this is a big storm system. We have had rain throughout the day from this storm system. This storm will rapidly intensify. So again, if you have heard the word bomb cyclone, and actually the technical term is bombogenesis, and that means a rapid intensification. You see the pressure of the storm drop at least 24 millibars in 24 hours. There's a good chance we'll see that. And when you have a lower pressure center, that increases the pressure gradient or change in pressure over a distance, and that leads to gusty winds. And that's what we're looking at as we get into tonight. All right, so big system here. We're still, again, in the warm sector. We have a lot of rain across the area. The cold front, you can see the lightning along it. Now, this stretches from mainly Lansing down towards the Ohio River. Thunderstorms already in through Indiana. There's more thunderstorms stretching through southern Illinois. We have the chance, again, keeping an eye on what moves through as we get into tonight between about 9 and 11 o'clock. We'll keep an eye and see if we do have any stronger wind gusts along this line right here. This is the cold front for us that is going to move on through. You can see a lightning strike up there along 96 on the way towards Grand Rapids. We did have a lightning strike earlier near Port Huron and Sarnia. We'll continue to see, again, this cold front come through and bring us a chance for thunderstorms. This cold front will be coming through pretty much between about 8 o'clock. Well, best would be between about 9 and 11 o'clock tonight when we have our chance for severe storms. But the chance is pretty low. It will be damaging wind gusts would be the biggest concern. But this is going to be the final push of rain, the best chance for thunderstorms. And then by the time we get to midnight tonight, everything is off to the east, and we actually are looking at dry conditions. Dry weather is expected overnight tonight from midnight through almost 8 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you live. And this is also when our winds will start to pick up. This is when the storm really gains its strength, and we'll start to have wind gusts at least up to about 40 miles per hour, if not stronger. Then as we get closer to 8 o'clock in the morning, the snow starts to push in from the northwest. We'll all see the snow across the area through mid-morning, and this is going to be the time that we could be looking at blowing snow, leading to reduced visibility, also potentially snow squalls, which are narrow bands of intense snowfall that could lead to whiteout conditions. If you don't have to travel tomorrow morning, please don't. Wait till the afternoon. This is a look about the lunch hour, still looking at bands of snow. And then if you notice towards the afternoon, the snow does start to let up just a little bit, and we'll continue to see that be the trend throughout the day tomorrow. And that's also the trend we're going to see with the winds. Most intense winds are going to be daybreak tomorrow through the morning, and then winds are going to start to let up as we go throughout the day. We do have a high wind warning that goes into effect tonight at midnight, goes through 9 p.m. tomorrow. Winds will be out of the west 25 to 35 miles per hour with gusts possible 50 to 60 miles per hour. So that will definitely really unfortunately lead to power outages across the area, down trees on power lines, down power lines, and that's what we're looking at, the concern for power outages as we move overnight tonight and then into tomorrow across the area. If you're worried about snow, like I mentioned before, snow definitely not a big concern here. We're looking at about 1 inch of snow for most of us. There will be a couple areas that pick up 2 inches of snow, but it's going to be blowing snow. So it's going to be hard to shovel because the wind is going to be blowing it. Again, we're looking at wind gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. So this snow would be more of a concern for slippery driving conditions, as well as potentially whiteout or reduced visibility conditions. So please, if you don't have to drive tomorrow, please don't do that. But that is what we're looking at. Once we get into tomorrow evening, it should start to calm down. Tomorrow night, we're much calmer, but we are colder across the area. I'll look at your 7-day forecast as this slowly rolls through. We will be looking at cold conditions into the new year. Highs are going to be in the low 20s. Lows are going to be into the teens. A light bit of snow on Tuesday, and then more so on Wednesday, and then we begin to dry out. So that's what we're looking at. It's going to be probably a rough about 24 hours still ahead, maybe 18 hours, a little bit less than that as this system rolls through. You are welcome, everyone. Thank you, Dave, for the kind words, thinking I'm terrible. But you know what? That's okay. That doesn't even show. Okay, Dave. Oh, Dave is mad about the 7-day forecast. I think I'm just going to leave that right here, right? Okay. Whew. Thank you for everyone else that has some nicer things to say. We're only here to help, right? That's my main job. I'm only here to help everyone and get us through what we've got going on. So that is what we're looking at. Hopefully, this helps you out and prepares you. You can keep your questions coming. I will hopefully answer them too as we continue through tonight. You can also tune in to TV 20 at 10 o'clock tonight. I'll also be on at Channel 7 at 11 o'clock tonight. And then tomorrow morning, Mike Taylor is back. He'll be here tracking the snow as it's pushing in. If we do have any snow squalls too, there is the potential for that. And if we were to get a snow squall, there will be a snow squall warning issue. You would get a notification on your phone about a snow squall warning. Again, a snow squall is a narrow band of intense snowfall. So they'll issue a warning, and the warning will be, don't go on the roadways here. We're looking at visibility down to 0, something like that. So hopefully you're not on the roads tomorrow morning if that helps you out. But that would be what a snow squall warning is if you see that tomorrow. I don't want anyone to be caught off guard with that. All right. I think that is about it. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. But again, I will try to answer what I can too, but that's the latest on this storm system. Again, worst tonight, rain tonight through midnight, just giving a nice little bow on everything. Rain tonight through midnight, chance for a few thunderstorms, could be severe, but likely not. Damaging wind gusts would be the biggest concern. And then midnight until about 8 o'clock in the morning, we're dry, winds increase though. Temperatures drop as well. Tomorrow morning, you'll be waking up in the 20s. Then as we get into the rest of the day, snow starts to pick up throughout the morning. The most intense snow and the strongest winds are going to be tomorrow morning through the very early part of the afternoon. And then after that, the winds start to let up a bit, the snow lets up too, and we'll be able to kind of breathe easier as we get towards the late evening and into tomorrow night. I think the biggest concerns with this system, reduced visibility as well as whiteout conditions, and then power outage possibilities with these strong winds. So make sure you check on your friends and neighbors if you can. Stay warm if you can too. I know crews are out there. We already talked to DTE and consumers, and they are prepared for this event. But obviously there's only so many crew members, and this storm is going to impact all of us. So it may take some time and situations. So please be prepared if you can. And again, we do have better conditions coming, just colder conditions, but at least not as windy, not as snowy, not worried about any bigger storms coming into the new year. All right, I'm going to leave the 7-day up. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Sunday. Hopefully you're just sitting there and listening to the rain fall outside, and you're in some place nice and warm, and you do stay warm for the rest of tonight. All right, have a good one, everyone, and stay safe.